Hi all, welcome to the video lecture series of Object-Oriented Programming. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the topic called access control. Access control in Java is actually carried out by means of certain keywords, and we'll be discussing about each of those keywords that will specify the type of access we can allocate or allot to each data member inside a class. Access control is one of the way in which encapsulation is carried out in Java. We have defined encapsulation in one of our previous sessions. Encapsulation can be defined as an act of wrapping up of data and all those functions who or that access this data into a single unit. And we have seen certain examples like the capsules that we take when we are sick. It's an real life example for encapsulation because that outer cover, that outer plastic coating is actually protecting the actual medicine that relies inside it. Okay, so similarly, one of the way in which this encapsulation is implemented in Java is by means of class, because in Java when we write a program, the first thing that we are doing is defining a class or declaring a class, and all the variables and methods are written inside this class. So the class acts as a protective wrapper of all these variables and methods that are written inside it. Another way of implementing encapsulation is by means of this access control keywords. So access control, so basically the encapsulation, the main purpose of encapsulation is to restrict the access, or in other words we can say to protect the data members or protect the data from outside access. So protection is the basic feature that encapsulation provides. So another way to protect our data members is to restrict the access towards those members. So to restrict access, we have to use certain keywords, and those keywords are known as access specifiers or access control keywords. From the name itself, it's clear. Access specifiers means those words that specify access to something. So access specifiers are used for controlling or restricting the access to data members. We can restrict the access to variables, constructors, class, etc. by using this access specifiers, and that is what we are going to see next. So these are the four keywords by which we can restrict the access to data members. Not only data members, we can even restrict the access to class, constructors, variables, methods, etc. So these are the four access modifiers we have in Java. They are public, protected, default, and private. Now we will see each one of them one by one. So first of all, we will see public. Suppose we want to give access to the data members from anywhere, then we have to use the keyword public. That means there is no restriction. That is what we mean by this public access modifier. That means if you are declaring a class or a variable or a method as public, that means it can be accessed by anywhere. Anywhere means it can be accessed from within the class or outside the class, within the package to which the class belongs, or even from outside the package to which the class belongs. So that is the meaning of the access modifier public. We have seen this keyword when we have written the main method, isn't it? Public static void main. Now you understood why we have written the keyword public along with the main method, because we need to provide access to main method from everywhere, because we know that main is a method, and for every method, if it is written, it will not get executed automatically. It has to be invoked by somebody else, right? We often write functions in C programming language, and those functions will not work automatically. We have to explicitly call them. We have to write the method call statement, then only those functions or method will start executing. So main is also a method. So we have to write a statement that calls the main method. But when we wrote the programs, did we write any method call statement for the main method? No, because main method is actually invoked by the JVM, Java Virtual Machine. When we click on the when we click on the run button on the in the Eclipse, or when we write like java c space the file name .java in the terminal, it's the Java compiler automatically calls the main method. That is possible because it is made public. Okay, we can understand the keyword like that also. That is why we made the main method as public. So public, the keyword public is actually an access modifier. It is used to indicate that the data member which is declared as public is accessible from everywhere. The second access modifier is protected. This keyword is used when we deal with inheritance. We know that inheritance is a property by which one class acquires or copies the properties of another class. In such situations, we can make use of this access modifier protected. So if you are declaring something by using this keyword protected, then the access level is within the package and outside the package only if there is inheritance. That is what we mean by throw child class. Once again I will repeat, if you are declaring something as protected, then that data member is accessible within the package. That means it is accessible within the package in which the class is declared, and is also possible to access this protected member from outside the package, but only if there is inheritance relationship. This usage will be clear when we deal with inheritance, so don't worry about it, because we have to study inheritance that we will discuss about in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so protected is actually an access modifier that comes that is. Now the third one is default. Suppose we are not using any keyword like we have not used public, we have not used protected, we have not used private. That means we have not specified any particular access modifier or access specifier keyword. In that case, the access level is defined as default. Okay, so we don't have to write this as a keyword. Even if we don't write any access modifier, it is considered as default. Okay, so when default is the access modifier, or when it is the default, in the default case the access level is only within the package. So this is the difference between public access modifier and the default access modifier. If it is default, means those data can be accessed only within the package in which the class belongs to. By package we mean that a folder to which the class belongs to, like the folders in our computers. Okay, so if you are not using any particular access modifier keyword when we write a class or when we write a variable, when we declare a method, we are not using any kind of access modifier, then its access modifier is considered as default. That means those methods or variables can be accessed only from within the package in which that class belongs to. Okay, so this last point is very important. That is, if you do not specify any access level, as we are not defining any particular word like public or private or protected, in that case it is considered as default. The last and the final access modifier is private. I hope you know the difference between the public transport and the private transport. Public transport means the entire public can make use of it. At the same time, the private transport means it can be used only by certain people. Like we have KSRTC on our roads. We also own our own cars and bikes, right? The car and bike is actually our private property, whereas the transport buses, KSRTC buses, they are public. So the same thing, when we define something as private in our program, that data is accessible only within the class in which it is declared. So if I am declaring a variable as private inside a class, then that variable can be accessed only within that class. That means it can be accessed only by the methods inside the class. It is not accessible by anybody else from outside the class. Okay, so that's the word meaning of, that's how the private access modifier work. So these are the 4 access modifiers or access specifiers we have in Java, and this table summarizes all the points that we have discussed so far. So it will be better if you study this table properly, so that it will be easy for you to learn and understand the difference between each and every access modifiers. We will go through some of the examples that explains the working of each of these access specifiers. First of all, we will see how this private access specifier work. As you can see here, we have declared one class. The class name is A, and two data members. One is a variable named data and other is a method named MSG, and both of them are declared as private. Both of them are declared as private. That means we are restricting the access to the variable named data and MSG. And how this restriction takes place? Since these two members are declared as private, they can be accessed only within this class. So this variable data and this method MSG can be accessed only within this class. Nobody else from outside the class can access these two. So as you can see here, we are creating one object named obj of class A inside the class named symbol, okay, and we are trying to access the variable named data by means of that object. So even if this object obj belongs to class A, this access is not allowed, because here this variable data is declared as private inside class A. So we are restricting the access towards this variable data. Similarly, we are restricting the access towards the method named MSG. See here, this MSG is also declared as private. So this access is also not possible. So this is how we restrict access to data members by using the access specifier private. Next example describes how the default access level work. So here we have created one class. Name of the class is A, but it is inside the package named pack. So package is similar to folders in our computers. So you can think like there is one folder whose name is pack, and inside that we have one class. We have created another folder. The folder name is my pack, and inside that pack we have written one class, that is class B. So now we are trying to create one object of class A from within a class B, which is inside the folder my pack, but this class A is in another folder named pack. So since the access level is mentioned as default, why it is default? Because we have not used any particular keyword here. We have not used any keyword like private or public or protected. So if you are not using any particular keyword, then it is default access level. So in that case, this message as well as this class both are having default access level. That means class A can be accessed only by other classes that belongs to this folder pack. So these two lines will generate error. Why? Because we are trying to access class A from class B, which is inside the folder named my pack. Since the access level is default, that is not allowed. Next we have the example for the protected as well as the public access specifier. So here, as we can see, we have two different packages. One is pack and the other one is my pack. We have created one class. The class name is A. We are creating another class, class B. Here this keyword extends. This is actually a keyword that is used to implement inheritance. Okay. When we write like this, class B extends A, this means B is inheriting class A. That means B is the child class and A is the parent class. And since the method named MSG is declared as protected, it is possible to access this method from within class B, because B is the child class of A. Why we have used this example? Because as you can see here, the package are different. One package is pack and the other package is my pack. Class A is inside pack and class B is inside my pack. So if the access modifier used is protected, then if you want to access the protected member from outside the class A, there must be a inheritance relationship between the classes. So here B and A possess that relationship. B is the child of class A. Okay, this keyword extends is used to indicate the relationship inheritance that we will study, but for time just understand that B is the child class of A. Since B is the child class of A, all the members including the protected members can be accessed by B. Okay, so here we have used only one protected member in order to show that how this protected access specifier is working. Now this example indicates the working of public access specifier. We have declared one package named pack, that is one folder named pack, another package named my pack, that is another folder. We have class A and class B. Class A belongs to the folder pack and class B belongs to my pack. Since we have declared the class as public, that means this class can be accessed by anybody from everywhere. Even if it is outside the package or inside the package, it's not affecting the access level because it is declared as public. So anybody from outside the class or within the class or outside the package or within the package can access it. So these are the 4 different examples that shows the working of these keywords access specifiers. So we shall conclude now. So we have seen the different keywords known as the access specifiers used in Java to restrict the access to the data members. So data members means it can be a class, it can be the variables, it can be methods, it can be constructors, anything. So this is one of the way in which encapsulation is implemented in Java. The other way is by means of class. Okay. So access specifiers or access modifiers generally is used to restrict the access. So we have seen one table which summarizes all the points. Okay, and now you can use, now you must try to use these keywords when you write your own programs, and it must be very clear to you the meaning of each keyword and how the keyword or how the access level will change when we use each of these keywords. Thank you so much.